Hello everyone, today we're going to discuss some conspiracy theories about Princess Diana death. So, there are many conspiracy theories surrounding the death of Diana, Princess of Wales, on August 31st, 1997. Official investigation in both Britain and France found that Diana died in a manner consistent with the media reports following the fatal car crash in Paris. In 1999, a French investigation concluded that Diana died as a result of crash. The French investigator George Herve Stephan concluded that the paparazzi were some distance from the Mercedes S 280 when it crashed and were not responsible for manslaughter. After hearing evidence at the British inquest, in jury in 2008 returned a verdict of unlawful killing by driver Henry Paul and the paparazzi pursuing the car. The jury's verdict also stated, in addition, the death of the deceased was caused or contributed by the fact that the deceased were not wearing a seatbelt and by the fact that the Mercedes struck the pillar in the Pont de l'Alma tunnel rather than colliding with something else. So, active in disputing the official versions of events were the British tabloid newspaper The Daily Express, the Egyptian businessman Mohammed Al Fayed, whose son Dodi was Diana's partner at the time and also died in a crash in 2003. Diana's butler Paul Pearl published a note that he claimed had been written by Diana in 1993, in which there was allegations that her husband was planning an accident in Diana's car. Brake fail and serious head injury, so that he could marry again. She had allegedly expressed similar concerns in October 1995 to Lord Miscon, her solicitor. That relatable sources had told her that she and Camilla would be put aside for Charles to marry Tiggy like a bouquet. Until a synod of 2002, the Anglican Church prohibited divorced people remarrying. A special Metropolitan Police inquiry team was established in 2004, Operation Paged, headed by Commissioner John Stevens, to investigate the various conspiracy theories which led up to the British inquest. This investigation looked into 175 conspiracy claims and had been made by Fayed. In 2005, Charles, as a witness, told Stevens that he did not know about his former wife's note from 1995 and could not understand why she had these feelings. Fayed persistently proponed that were found to be conspiracy theories at the inquest and repeatedly claimed that he believed his son was murdered with Diana. So let's talk more about Henry Paul. So, security service connections. Theories have alleged that the driver of the Mercedes-Benz W140, Henry Paul, was in the pay of National Security Service. So, different versions of the allegation name the country of the security service alternatively as Britain, France, or United States. Evidence purported to support this arises mainly from money in his possessions at the time of his death and his personal wealth. These allegations are covered in Chapter 4 of the Operation Paged Criminal Investigation Report. Mohammed Al Fayed claimed that Henry Paul was working for Mi-6 and then they set him up. The inquiry found no evidence Henry Paul was an agent for any security service. So, blood samples. Another allegation concerned the reliability of blood tests carried out, which indicated Paul had been drinking before he took the control of the car. The French investigation conclusions that Paul was drunk was made on the basis of analysis of blood samples, which was said to contain an alcohol level that, according to J. September 1997 report, was 3 times the French legal limit. This initial analysis was challenged by a British pathologist hired by Al Fayed. In response, French authorities carried out a third test, this time using the more medically conclusive vitreous fluid. from inside the eye, which confirmed the level of alcohol measured by blood and also showed Paul had been taking antidepressants. It has been claimed that the level of alcohol reported to have found in Paul's blood was inconsistent with his sober demeanor as captured on the CCTV of the Ritz that evening. Robert Forrest, a forensic pathologist, said that an alcoholic like Paul with a high tolerance for alcohol would be able to appear more sober than he actually was. The families of Dodi Fayed and Harry Paul did not accept the findings of the French investigation. It was disclosed in 2006 that Lord Stevens had met with Paul's elderly parents, telling them that their son was not drunk. Just prior to Stevens' appearance at the inquest, a source close to Stevens stated this inconsistency could be explained as him being considerate and sensitive towards the elderly couple. An assessment Scott Baker suggested might be credible in his opening comments to the jury. Under cross-examination at the British inquest in 2008, Stevens denied deliberately misleading Paul's parents and said that the chauffeur conditions at the time of the crash did not match the police definition of being drunk, which he said relied upon someone's physical responses. Stevens said that the available evidence suggested Paul had consumed only 2 alcoholic drinks, but this was not necessarily all that Paul had consumed, and that he was under the influence of alcohol at the time of crash. An expert cited in the report estimated that Paul had drunk the equivalent of 5 measures of Ricard, his favorite liqueur-flavored French aperitif, before driving. In 2 French tox lab tests, Paul was found to have 12.8% carbon monoxide hemoglobin saturation, which occurs when blood's iron-carrying pigment is bound with the carbon monoxide. Smokers normally have 10% of hemoglobin bound with the carbon monoxide, so the results in Paul's case were not unusual. Paul had been smoking small cigarillo cigars in the hours before the crash. Another test baked by the opponents of the official findings showed Paul had a carbon monoxide hemoglobin saturation of 20.7% at the time of his death, and that result, if accurate, combined with the rates of dispersal of carbon monoxide from the bloodstream, would have meant that Paul's blood has 40% saturation a few hours earlier, and he would scarcely have been able to function at all. In 2009, it was reported that DNA samples confirmed that blood tests with high alcohol levels were indeed from Paul. This was established by comparison with samples provided by Paul's parents, demonstrating that the blood test was that of Paul and that he had 3 times the French legal limit of alcohol in his blood. So, Tomlinson's allegations of Mi-6 involvement. Richard Tomlinson, a former Mi-6 officer who was dismissed from the intelligence services and later served 5 months in prison for breaching the Official Secrets Act 1989, claimed in a sworn statement to the French inquiry in May 1999 that Britain's Mi-6 has been involved in a crash, suggesting that the security service had documentation which would assist Judge Stephen in his inquiry. The previous August, he had been reported by the BBC to have claimed that Paul was working for the security services and that one of Diana's bodyguard, either Trevor Rees-Jones, he is known as Trevor Rees, or Cass Winfield, was a contract for British intelligence. Tomlinson alleged that Mi-6 was monitoring Diana before her death, had told Mohammed Al-Fayed that Paul was a Mi-6 agent, and that her death mirrored plans he saw in 1992 for the assassination of the president of Serbia, Slobodan Milosevic, using a strobe light to blind his chauffeur. On February 13th, 2008, Tomlinson told the inquest that he may have misremembered and that he had no evidence that Paul was a Mi-6 agent, but he had said in the previous day court session that Paul was supplying Mi-6 with information. Speaking by video link from France, Tomlinson contended that after the interval of 16 or 70 years, he could not remember specifically whether the document he had seen during 1992 had in fact proposed the use of strobe light to cause a traffic crash as a means of assassinating Milosevic. Although use of lights for this purpose had been covered in his MI6 training. The Operation Patriot inquiry was given unprecedented access to the officers of both Mi-5 and Mi-6 to investigate Thomason's claims. It was later revealed that the mentioned memo was a proposal written in March 1993 to assassinate another Serbian figure if gained power, not Milosevic. Furthermore, the plan did not involve anything about using flashlights. Further evidence discrediting Tomlinson's claims was found in the drafts of a book he was writing about his time in MI6 before he was jailed in 1908 for breaching the Official Secrets Act. The draft, dating from 1996, referred to the memo and contained none of the details about the staged car crash with a flashlight in the tunnel. In their request, later told by anonymous Mi-6 manager, that Mi-6 were not keeping any file of either the princess or Dodi, and that there was no plan involving them. The inquiry concluded by dismissing Tomlinson claims as an embellishment. It went on to comment that this embellishment personal papers from his home in Cairns. So, relationship with Dodi Fayed. One of the main motives which was advanced for alleged murder includes suggestions Diana was pregnant with Mohammed Dodi Fayed's child and the couple were about to get engaged. The alleged dislike of the idea of non-Christian within the British royal family meant such a relationship between the mother of the future king and the Egyptian Muslim would not be tolerated. In Mohammed al-Fayed's view, which he repeated in court at the inquest in February 2008, Prince Philip, Prince Charles, Diana's sisters Lady Sarah McCordale, and numerous of others were all involved in a plot to kill the princess and his son. Jeffrey Steinberg of the Executive Intelligence Review, a publication of American London La Roche Movement, has also put forward theories that the Princess of Wales was murdered by the security services under the instructions of Prince Philip. An article in the Daily Telegraph in 1998 reporting the AIR conspiracy theories alleged earlier links between the AIR and al-Fayed, while Francis Wynne reported that the following year that al-Fayed's spokesman had advised journalists to contact Steinberg. CCTV evidence shown at the inquest indicates that Dodi left reposed travelers on the on 30th August with nothing more than a catalogue. Alberto Reposi said in 2003 that the ring had been placed on Diana's finger in a Saint Tropez hotel and was being resized for future collections in Paris, but later admitted to writer Martin Gregory that he had received legal papers from al-Fayed, a client, for more than 20 years. Al-Fayed said that the couple chose the ring in Monte Carlo and Dodi had picked it up in Paris the day before he died after it has been altered. The statement of al-Fayed was contradicted by the statements of Claude Roulette, a shop assistant, and the CCTV footage. A CCTV recording demonstrated the ring has been selected by a Ritz hotel official. It was bought by Mohammed al-Fayed after the couple's death. A few hours before the crash on the afternoon of August 30th, Diana's journalist friend, Richard Kai, received a call on his mobile phone from Diana in which she asked about what was likely to appear in the following day's Sunday papers about her. During this call, she made no mentions of any announcements she intended to make. More revealing was the statement given by Diana's eldest sister, Lady Sarah McCordale, who testified in a phone conversation with Diana on Friday, August 29th, Diana spoke about Dodi Fayed in a manner that gave her sister the impression their relationship was on stony ground. Statements from other friends and confidants Diana spoke to in the week before her death, including her butler Paul Burrell, her friend Lady Annabel Goldsmith, and her spiritual advisor Rita Rogers, were anonymous, that she was firm about not wanting to get engaged or married to anyone at that point in her life. A week before she died, the princess had told Goldsmith, "I need the marriage like a rash on my face." Diana's former private secretary Patrick Chepson said to the BBC in reaction to the publications of the Operation Pages report in December 2006 that her facial expression in the CCTV footage of her at the Paris Ritz on her final evening with Dodi Fayed was one she would wear when she was disgruntled with the situation. However, CCTV images released on 6 October, taken just minutes before their deaths, show a relaxed Diana and Dodi affectionately holding hands. An inquiry witness was Hasnat Khan, a Muslim heart surgeon of Pakistani origin based in London, who had a relationship with Diana for 2 years. Diana had explored the possibility of marriage with him. This had been met with no opposition from the royal family, and then Prince Charles had given his blessing. Hunt stated that he had received some racist hate mail from members of the public because of the relationship, but had no reason to take what was said in his hate mail seriously. He also stated that he felt their relationship was not opposed by the royal family or any other branch of the British government, including the security services. Paul Burrell stated that Diana was still not over her breakup with Han at the time of her death. It was also pointed out that Dodi and Diana had only met just under 7 weeks before the crash. At Al Fayed's villa in Saint Tropez on July 14th, meaning there were only 47 days from their first meeting until the night of the crash. Of those days, their schedules permitted them to be together for an absolute maximum of 35 days. From analysis of Diana Excel's moments, it is likely they had spent approximately 23 days together before the crash. John McNamara, a former senior detective of Scotland Yard, headed Al Fayed's own investigation for 5 years from 1997. Cross-examined at the inquest on February 14th, he concerned that he had found no evidence of a criminal conspiracy to kill the princess, of that she was engaged or pregnant at the time of her death, apart from the claims Al Fayed had related to him. So now the conspiracy about the pregnancy. In January 2004, the former coroner of the Queen's household, John Burton, said that he attended a post-mortem examination of the princess's body at the Fulham mortuary, where he personally examined her womb and found her not to be pregnant. Robert Chapman, who carried out the post-mortem examination, stated that Diana's womb and ovaries showed no sign of pregnancy. In an effort to examine the assertions made by Al Fayed, Operation Paget has scientific tests carried out on pre-transfusion blood found in the footwell of the seat in the wrecked Mercedes of the Princess of Wales, occupied at the time of the crash. This blood was found to have no trace of the HCG hormone associated with pregnancy. The inquiry also extensively interviewed friends of Diana's who were in close contact with her in the weeks leading up to her death. The evidence obtained from these witnesses was of a very sensitive nature, and most of it not included in Operation Paget's criminal investigations report. However, it was reported that friends said she was in her normal menstrual cycle, and there was evidence that she was using contraception. Al Fayed's persistence in asserting Diana was pregnant led him to get members of his staff to tell the media that on their final day together, Diana and his son had visited a villa he owned in Paris to choose a room for the baby. While the couple has indeed visited the villa, the circumstances of the visit was exaggerated to say it had lasted 2 hours, and then it was in the presence of prominent Italian interior design. A security guard of the villa, Ruben Merle, felt uncomfortable lying about the matter and sold his story to the Sun, stating that that the visit lasted just under 30 minutes and was not in the company of any interior designer. He provided stills from CCTV to prove this and said he had been in presence of Diana and Dodi for the entirety of their visit, with there having been no conversation about them coming to live at the villa. He later resigned from Al Fayed's employment and indicted an employment tribunal for constructive dismissal after Al Fayed successfully sued him for breach of contract because of the CCTV images supplied to the Sun. Senior members of Al Fayed staff made derogatory comments about Merle and Trevor Rees-Jones in their statements to Operation Paged. In 2004, a Channel 4 documentary, The Diana Conspiracy, claimed that the butler at the villa, who in June 1998 interviewed with the ITV documents Diana's secrets behind the crash, claimed to have shown the couple around with the intent being to live there, was not even present at the villa on the day as he was on vacation. Al Fayed first claimed that the Princess of Wales was pregnant at the time of her death to the Daily Express in May 2001. If it is true, it is strange that he sat upon this important information for 3.5 years, Scott Baker said at the inquest. Okay, so the next one is gonna be absence of CCTV images. So the absence of CCTV images showing the Mercedes journey from the hotel to the crash site has been frequently cited as evidence of an organized conspiracy, according to the Independent newspaper in 2006. There were more than 14 CCTV cameras in the Pont de Alma underpass through the recorded footage on the fatal collisions. George Hervé Stephan was appointed as examining magistrate in this case on September 2nd, 1997. On the day by judicial order, he tasked the British criminal with identifying all video and photographic images along the road taken by Mercedes. Lieutenant Eric Gilger of the British criminal led the team that carried out that work, initially by retracing the road several times and drawing up a list of possible locations. His report showed that the team identified 10 locations of CCTV cameras. None of these had any images relevant to the inquiry, since they were principally security cameras facing the entrance to the two buildings. Most of the cameras were not maintained by the city of Paris. The owners of the buildings to which they were attached operated them privately. There was a traffic monitoring camera above the underpass in place the Alma itself, but this was under the control of La Compagnie de Circulation Urbane de Paris. That department closed down at about 11 p.m., had no night duty staff, and made no recordings. Officials in the police headquarters information and command center could continue to view the pictures shown by the traffic camera in real time, but could not control it. The subject of the CCTV cameras is dealt with in Chapter 5 of the Operation Paged report. It was also found that the photograph that was published in a book by David Cohen, Diana Death of Goddess, and caption as having been taken just before the car entered the tunnel was in fact taken by a photographer as the car left the back of the Paris Ritz. So, the next thing about this conspiracy is white Fiat Uno and James Anderson. Analysis of the wreckage of Mercedes revealed it had glancing contact with a white Fiat Uno car, which left traces of paint on the Mercedes bodywork. Extensive attempts by the French police to find the vehicle involved were unsuccessful. Although no one had seen the Fiat in the tunnel, some witnesses reported seeing an owner exciting, yeah, ex, exiting the tunnel. Mohammed Al Fayed alleged in his July 2005 statement to Operation Page at other times the white Fiat Uno was being used by Mi-6 as a means of causing the Mercedes to swerve the and thereby crash into the side of the tunnel. Al Fayed further alleged that the Fiat Uno was owned by a French photojournalist named Jean-Paul James Adamson, a security services agent, according to Al Fayed, who had photographed Diana while she was at his villa in Saint-Tropez in July 1997. Adamson's death in May 2000, Al Fayed claimed, was either died to guilt over what he had done or because he was assassinated by the French or British security services to silence him. Operation Page was found that the white Fiat Uno Adamson owned was in an unroadworthy condition, being 9 years old at the time with 325,000 kilometers on the odometer, and had not been maintained for several years prior. Anderson's neighbors confirmed the veracity of this evidence. Anderson had sold the car in October 1997. Operation Page concluded it was an extremely unlikely due to the car's conditions and the fact Anderson has so openly deposed of it that it was the one or the scene of the crash in Paris. French police has examined Anderson's car as a part of their effort to trace the one that had come into contact with the Mercedes with a view to prosecuting the driver for failing to render assistance, and had reached the same conclusion. The French police spent a year after the crash searching for the vehicle and eliminated over 4,000 white Fiat Unos from their inquiry. Operation Page decided it would be unlikely to renew inquiries would identify the vehicle involved, as such a long period had elapsed since the crash. It concluded the threat of prosecution for a custodial offense probably deterred the driver from coming forward at the time. A retired major in the French British criminal Jean-Claude Moles gave evidence to the inquest in February 2008. Adamson had been interviewed in French police in February 1998 and had been able to provide documentary evidence about his movements on the previous 30th and 31st of August, which has satisfied them that he could not be the driver of the Fiat Uno involved. This demonstrated that Adamson could only have been at his home in Ligneres, 177 miles from Paris, at the time of crash. Elizabeth, his widow, said at the London inquest in February 2008 that her husband had been at home in bed with her at the time of the crash. So, Adamson's suicide. Adamson died in May 2000. The official verdict was suicide. His body was found in a black burnt-out BMW in a forest near the town of Nantes, near Millau in southern France. Anderson's death was attributed to problems in his private life. The 2008 inquest into the death of Princess of Wales heard that evidence was uncovered from his friends and associates that prior to his death, he had talked of suicide by pouring petrol in a car and lighting a cigar. As noted by Richard Norwell QC for the Metropolitan Commissioner, the Page's report states that when the car was found, Anderson's body was in the driver's seat of the car, and his head was detached and lay between the front seats. There was a hole in his left temple. The French pathologist concluded this hole was caused by the intense heat of the fire rather than, for example, a bullet wound. Operation Page found no evidence Anderson was known by any security services. contrary to Al-Fayed claims. His death was thoroughly investigated by French police, although the whereabouts of the car keys has never been explained. A break-in at his former workplace in June 2000, alleged to have been carried out by security services, was found to be unconnected to his death, as no items related to him were stolen. So, Le Bon Ton. It has been reported by numerous publications that the white Fiat Uno belonged to the Le Bon Ton, a taxi driver who was 22 years old at the time of the crash. Multiple witnesses recall seeing a man matching his description exit the tunnel seconds after the crash. Georges and Sabine Dozone identified Ton as the agitated man they may have seen driving the car. Ton owned a white Fiat Uno identical to the one that struck the Princess of Wales Mercedes. French investigators had narrowed it down from the original 4,000 registered as having the Bianco Corfu 224 paint scheme and manufactured from 1983 to September 1987. Chemical analysis shows the original paint was compatible with the white traces seen on the Mercedes. Following tests, it was concluded that the car could have been involved in the accident. He was questioned only once on November 13, 1997 by French detectives at his apartment in Clichy, north of Paris, and he has always refused any further interview requests. Thun told French investigators that he was on shift at the time of the crash as a night shift security guard at the Renault factory in Gennevilles. He said another man was working with him, but he couldn't recall his name, which led to him being ruled out of a suspect. Critics of the investigations claimed that the French police never verified his alibi. It was later uncovered that he left work early that night and could have been visiting his father's home near the Alma Tunnel. So, when investigators questioned Stan about his car being resprayed red from the original white and having replacement bumpers, he claimed it was done a few hours prior to the crash. He refused to provide a reason for doing so. In 2006, Thun's father said his son had resprayed his Uno red hours after the crash, allegedly waking up his mechanic brother in the night to help him. So, bright flash. So an alternative explanation of the cause of the crash has been reports of bright white flash just before the car entered the tunnel. Bloodying the driver, Richard Tomlinson made this allegation in the inquiry, but the veracity of his evidence was found wanting. It was found by the authorities that 3 eyewitnesses at the scene of the crash claimed to see a bright flash or light before the crash. Francois Levy made a clear, specific claim that he saw a bright flash, but his 3 statements to the authorities were in conflict with each other. Both the French detectives investigating after the crash and later the officers who worked on Operation Page rejected the evidence. With the Mercedes behind him, he claimed to have seen the flash in his rear view mirror and recounted other elements of what he saw while he was negotiating the difficult bend out of the tunnel. Crucially, however, his testimony was directly contradicted by his then wife, who was in the passenger seat next to him. However, eyewitness Brian Anderson, an American tourist, told detectives that he too saw a bright flash. French police in 1997 were aware of Levestre's convictions in Rouen during 1989 for dishonesty and his subsequent prison sentence. He was not thought by them to be a reliable witness. Television documentaries produced by Channel 4 in 2004 and the BBC in 2006 both raised the issue. He appeared as a witness at the British inquiry via video link in October 2007. Diana Secrets Behind the Crash, an ITV program represented by Nicholas Owen. Then ITN's royal correspondent gave enough weight to the claims of Lewis Trett and 93% of viewers polled by the Mirror newspaper. Just after the broadcast believed that had been a bright flash of light at the time of the crash. The details of eyewitnesses' testimony was thoroughly reviewed. The operation page officers succeeded in uncovering two new witnesses. Other eyewitnesses' testimony made little reference to the appearance of any inexplicable flashes at the car site. Several witnesses who would be expected to have seen a blinding flash made no reference to one. In any event, the detailed crash reconstruction revealed that the chain of events that led to the car unavoidably colliding with the pillar started well before it was at the mouth of the tunnel where the flash is alleged to have occurred. So, furthermore, strobe light of the type that was alleged to have been used is so powerful that the flash emitted from it would have been bright enough to illuminate a very wide area. It would have likely blinded not only Paul, but also the driver of the white Fiat Uno, the pursuing paparazzi, and witnesses standing at the roadside. The operation page to report concluded that the alleged flash did not happen. So, there is another myth that Princess Diana did wear her seatbelt. So, there were some media discussions in April 2006 suggesting that Diana was a faithful seatbelt user and therefore the fact that both her and Dodi's seatbelts either failed or were not used was sinister and might suggest sabotage. Her sister, Lady Sarah Macrodale, who later said that Diana was religious in putting on her seatbelt. Other sources questioned if she did in fact use her seatbelt at the time, as was suggested. What is certain is that she was not wearing a seatbelt, and this made things worse. We would like to think that if she had been wearing a seatbelt, we would have been able to save her, said André Lindhart, who reviewed the emergency services response from the French government investigations of the incident. CNN did an analysis of the crash in early September 1997 and concluded that the injuries would have been minor had the occupants been wearing seatbelts. The conclusions were provisional owing to limited data about the specific Mercedes model as the limousine was not sold in the US. Analysis of the wreckage of the car after its repatriation to England in 2005 by forensic accident investigator from the Transport Research Laboratory of 35 years experience on behalf of Operation Paget found that all the seat belts were in good working order except for the right rear one which was attached to the seat Diana occupied. Follow-up inquiries with the French investigators found that they had declared all the seatbelts operational at an examination in October 1997, suggesting the damage to this seatbelt took place after the crash. The British inquest explicitly stated that the lack of seatbelts had caused or contributed to the death of both Dodi and Diana. So, transport to the hospital. The first call to the emergency services switchboard was logged at 12:26 a.m. The SAMU ambulance carrying the princess arrived at the PT Supportive Hospital at 2:06 a.m. The French system of emergency care adhered to the say and play mantra, which meant that the patients needed to be established first at fully equipped medical ambulance before being directed to a specialized hospital that would treat his or her injuries no matter how far away it was. Nevertheless, this length of time prompted much conspiracy-related comment. The period between the crash and the arrival at the hospital takes into account the following: the time taken for emergency services to arrive, the time taken by the sapeurs-pompiers 5-star service of Paris to remove Diana from the damaged car, and the actual journey time from the crash site to the hospital. Police officers Sebastian Dodi and Lino Gagliardon were the first emergency officials to arrive at the scene at around 12:30 a.m. Sergeants Javier Gourmelon and Philippe Boyer of the sapeurs-pompiers, the fire service, arrived at around 12:32 a.m. Jean-Marc Martino, a specialist in anesthetics and the intensive care treatments, and the doctor in charge of the SAMU ambulance arrived at around 12:40 a.m. Diana was removed from the car at 1 a.m. She then went into cardiac arrest following external cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Her heart staged beating again. She was moved to the SAMU ambulance at 1:18 a.m. The ambulance departed from the crash scene at 1:41 a.m. and arrived at the hospital at 2:06 a.m., a journey time of approximately 26 minutes. This included a stop at the Gare de Austerlitz, ordered by Martino because of the drop in the blood pressure of the Princess of Wales and the necessity of dealing with it. The ambulance was traveling slowly on his express instructions. The doctor was concerned about Diana's blood pressure and the effects on her medical conditions of deceleration and acceleration. The SAMU ambulance, SAMU, carrying Diana past the Hotel du Hospital on the Le de la Sea and Road to the Petit Salpêtrière Hospital. Petit Salpêtrière. It's so hard to read in French, to be honest. The decision to transfer her to this hospital was taken by Marc Liget, who was on dispatch duty in SAMU control on that night. In consultation with Dr. De Rossi, who was at the scene. The hospital was the main reception center for the multiple trauma patients in Paris. The Hotel Dieu was not equipped to deal with the injuries Diana had sustained. Liget stated, the Hotel Dieu hospital on the Le de la Cite is closer but not equipped with heart surgery teams or neurosurgical teams or teams trained to take patients with multiple injuries. Liget was also aware that Bruno Rio was on duty at the Petit Salpêtrière that night and was particularly skilled to treat her injuries. Martina supposed this view. So, the next part of this conspiracy is embalming of the body. So, Mohammed Al-Fayed alleged that Diana's body was deliberately embalmed shortly after her death to ensure that any pregnancy test at the post-mortem would produce a false result. So, Robert Chapman, who carried out the post-mortem examination, stated that the embalming fluids would have had no effect on determining whether Diana was pregnant or not, as the physical evidence would have been present in her womb and ovaries. Our operation page found that 31st August 1997 was a very hot day in Paris. Diana's body has been stored in an empty room adjacent to the emergency room, where she had been treated as the Petit Salpêtrière Hospital, as the mortuary was on the other side of the hospital grounds and some distance away. Dry ice and air conditioning units were placed in the room to keep it cool, but appeared to have had little success. Diana's two sisters and Prince Charles were scheduled to view the body later than that afternoon, before bringing it back to the United Kingdom. President Jacques Chirac and his wives also wished to pay their respects. This meant there was very little time to prepare body for viewing, and it was deemed unacceptable to present Diana's body to her family and the president of France in the state it was in. Faced with this simulation, the hospital staff decided to press ahead with embalming, with only verbal authority from Martin Monteil and the local superintendent of police, who assured Jean Monarch that everything would be in order. Under French law, paperwork must be completed before undertaking the embalming of any corpse likely to be subject to a post-mortem. This paperwork was completed, but only after the embalming had been carried out, giving rise to allegations of suspicious circumstances. The allegations were made despite there being no way the hospital staff could have known whether or not Diana was pregnant, as a pregnancy test would have been irrelevant to her post-crash treatment and accordingly was not carried out. So, let's talk more about SAS. The court martial of SAS sniper Danny Nightingale led to a letter written by witness Soldier N and sent to his in-laws coming to further attention. Soldier N, Nightingale's former roommate, was in prison for illegally holding firearms and ammunition. On 17th August 2013, the Metropolitan Police announced that they were reviewing evidence that Soldier N had boasted that the SAS were behind the death of Princess Diana. The parents of Soldier N's estranged wife reportedly wrote to the SAS commanding officer claiming Soldier N had told his wife the unit arranged Diana's death and it was covered up. The information was reportedly passed on to Scotland Yard by the Royal Military Police. However, Scotland Yard stressed that this information would not lead to a re-investigation and that they were examining its relevance and credibility. They also confirmed that Prince Charles and Mohammed Al Fayed were being kept informed as preliminary examination progressed. At the end of November 2015, Scotland Yard ended up its study of the SAS allegations and released a statement. The Metropolitan Police Service had scoped the information and is in the process of drawing up conclusions which will be communicated to the families and interest parties first, before any further comments can be made. On December 16th, it emerged from Sky News reports that there were no credible evidence that the CAS was involved in the death of Princess and the others, and thus no reason to reopen the investigations. So, let's talk more about Diana in popular culture. So, The Murder of Princess Diana is a best-selling 2004 book by British journalist Noel Botham, which disputes the official versions of events and suggests an orchestrated conspiracy. A fictionalized telemovie adaptation, The Murder of Princess Diana, was later released. The next one, Unlawful Killing, a British documentary film about the death of Diana and Dodi, was shown in May 2011 in Cannes, while the 2011 Cannes Film Festival was in progress. It was directed by Keith Allen and funded by Mohammed Al Fayed. The film was not shown in British cinemas. Lawyers for the producers suggested that 87 cuts need to be made before it could be certified for release. Following its failure to gain insurance against possible legal action. Following putative distribution in the United States, the film was shelved in 2012. And the last one, In That Mitchell and Webb Block, a series of sketches depicting a group of 3 government agents discussing plans to carry out popular conspiracy theories, whilst inadvertently pointing out the flaws in such plans, includes the one revolving around Diana's death. The sketch ends with the plan happening by accident. So, we've talked a lot about these conspiracy theories, and now, like in the nowadays world, it is one of the most popular conspiracy theories. have been known ever. And to be honest, I can say that it is it is have lots and lots of facts and secrets, because it all happened around the royal family. Princess Diana was one of the royal family members, and I do believe that they have some secrets that they keep in secret, because they want to stay like clean, that they are people of honest, but who knows, yeah. And I remember I've seen some interviews of her kids, no, Will and Harry, is it? No, really, William and Harry, I think their names, yeah. And they just says that their real that the oh sorry that the investigations that have been released as the official ones, they do believe in it, and they say that it is what they believe in, and they tried not discuss a lot about it, but they might know what happened in real, or they just, or because they are the kids of Diana, they can be just given misleading information about her death, and like yeah, no one knows, that's the problem. I mean, in as a, yeah, normal humans, they don't know what happened. Yeah, because first of all, it happened in a foreign country like France. Yeah, they have their own laws, or their own detectives, and Britain and France, they have some conflicts before, and all of these can lead to all what happened. So if it would happen in Britain, then investigation might be more clear, but on the other hand, we have that investigation could be just hidden, because like that's happened in Britain, they can do whatever they want in their country, isn't it? Yeah, so it is a massive conspiracy to talk about. You have plenty of facts what happened with this car. Yeah, I'm really concerned about this guy sons who had let me double check his name. That's a guy who had the same car as James Anderson, a white Fiat Uno, Livon, THANH. So I think it might be like reading like a son, yeah. So why, like, he had the same car, then he painted his car for no reason. He had changed his bumper for no reason, and there are a few facts that like that something can be that much just random, yeah, that also makes me to believe in these concerns. And my real opinion that this all happened, it couldn't be just that much easy. I think it might be more complicated, and like we all know that's the easiest way to make someone calm down or just be quiet, just kill them, yeah. Because some secrets, they are might be dangerous if you know them. And but about this rich, I think is he Egyptian, just, yeah, wealthy person, Al Fayed. So he might be just in pain because of his son's death, because that's I'm not sure, but it might be his only one son, yeah, and that's such a shame, to be honest, because like that's someone who you wanted to share your wealth, give your experience, and he just died because probably he really died because he was in touch with Diana, and he could just give a lots of information that our royal family did really want to see on the news. And we all know that royal family, they really try to keep their secrets. So for example, like this situation with Harry and Meghan, I think she's Meghan, isn't it? Like they became really like stars on the pop news, and this book from Harry, um it just became really like famous, and he said lots of things that happened about him and his life, and it shows that like money control him, and like if but the other concern that if royal family, they want to keep their secrets that much like a lot, then they will like kill him as well, no, is it? But no, they didn't, yeah. So but yeah. And also I remember I've seen some facts that the Queen Elizabeth II, she wasn't in a good relationship with Diana. They had some conflicts, and it might be like the just like the old reason on top as well. And Diana, she was one of the person who had a really big heart. She helped. She liked to help children in. I remember she had a few trials in Africa. She been in Soviet Union as well, and she really tried to put her influence on the others to help people, and for that public, they really love her. And after this is why this conspiracy is so popular, because people, they just seen from the screen how beautiful, how gorgeous her soul is, and it is just hard for people to believe that she just could die for, to be honest, for such a stupid reason. And this is why it creates such huge conspiracy theory. And now, even now, I can still see a lot of videos about her, how people adore her, how people wear the same outfits as her, and how iconic her fashion style was. And even like more than 20 years past, yeah, she still has her influence, and that can show how strong person she was. And I remember once I watched a film where they showed like in a library somewhere in the United States that they have a secret books where it shows all the conspiracy theories, and 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 the and the real story, what actually happened. And it might be true, to be honest. Like, we will never know, but some people, just a few people in the entire world, they know what actually happened, and no one ever know it. But maybe in the next centuries, the secrets will be released, yeah, and next generation might know what's actually happened. But no, not we. So it is oh yeah, it is actually a fact that lots of people viewed her funeral online, and uh, lots of people came to really give a to pray for Diana, and she definitely was a good person. And the last fact that I want to talk about is Diana may have had the chance of surviving that night. In the documentary, William Thomas retraces Diana's steps in Paris, where Diana spent her final days with filmmaker Dodi Fayed in August 1997, and tracks down crushed witnesses who have never spoken publicly. He also travels to the UK to meet an expert who prepared a report for the official British inquest into Diana's death. Tom Treasure, a cardiothoracic surgeon, reviews the days of the crash, and Diana was taken from the car and she was conscious when they took her out. He says her circulation was in trouble, fast pulse and low blood pressure, indicating internal bleeding. And Treasure then explains the heart injury that Diana sustained from sitting sideways without a seatbelt when the car came to an abrupt stop. He reveals that had the circumstances been different that night, allowing her a heart injury to be identified earlier, she may have had a chance. It was survivable, Teresa says in the film.